What is the private sector's role in emergency preparedness and humanitarian response, and how will this role evolve in your sense? How can partnerships with corporations be improved to better support humanitarian needs?
If you look at the whole 2030 agenda as such, the goals we have all of us have agreed to for the next 15 years, I don't really see how how that vision can be achieved if we're not leveraging the assets, the solutions, and the scale that the private sector can bring to these problems. So I think it's really fundamental that we get this marriage right.
And in your view, how do we move the needle, moving beyond the business as usual approach?
Business as usual is that the public sector goes one way and the private sector goes another. So we need to find bridges, we need to find creative ways to finance development and to finance aid. If we want to have solutions to some of these development challenges, we need to find sustainable business models. This is not about philanthropy and charity. Of course, there's a huge role for that as well, and there's definitely a lot of resources in that space. But if Ericsson as a technology company, what can we bring to the table? It's not philanthropy. We have technology that is so vital to start to address, whether it's climate change, whether it's poverty in general, social and financial inclusion, the information and communication technology. We can cut across all those goals, but we need the models, we need the framework in order to be able to do that in a way that fits the private sector.
I understand that you've announced a new commitment today to develop an emergency mobile wallet for deployment in the immediate aftermath of a disaster or a crisis situation. Can you tell us a little bit about what this wallet includes, how it's used, and how it concretely benefits aid workers and others on the ground?
There was a very powerful figure that David Miliband from IRC gave last night that I heard, and he said that countries that are most affected by humanitarian disasters, only 30% of them have some type of digital wallet or mobile wallet system today. So there's a huge gap, and we know that when we can do secure mobile financial transactions, we know that we can, have traceability, we can avoid fraud, we can get money to the people that need it most. I think that this really has the potential to transform the way that aid is delivered. This will be used for person-to-person mobile transactions, mobile money transactions. It will be used merchant to person, it can be used government to person. You'll be able to pay aid workers, and you'll also be able to do international remittances. We have a 15-year history of working with disaster response. It's a program we called Ericsson Response. So this will become part of our portfolio, if you will, of solutions, and we will deploy this in the same way that we do today through the emergency telecom cluster in the UN system, with partners like World Food Program and IRC and many others. But then we also need to find ways to transition this over time to a more permanent infrastructure for these communities.
And in your view, how significant could the impact of the redoubling of efforts on innovation and research and development be as a kind of driver for innovation?
Innovation and R&D needs to be part of the whole fiber and the way that we breathe and live and work. There are so many good ideas. The challenge is really to evaluate and put some business principles around them, not to just be zealots about a cause, but say, how can we actually develop this, how can we fund it, and how can we scale it? And think more in business terms when we do that.